welcome to the Journey to the Hunt podcast, where we talk about all things outdoors, hunting, life, and family related. All right, welcome back to another episode of Journey to the Hunt podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed the first one. I'm Alan Yates. I got my co-host here with me.
What's up? Mark Newman.
Yeah, Mr. Mark Newman. So this week we're going to talk about boots on ground. What boots on ground means to me, what boots on ground means to Mark, and the
work in.
Yeah, so the switch from asking the questions, from learning, from doing the research, from doing the studying, to the practical part of actually lacing up the boots, finding the land, private or public, doesn't matter, pick your poison. I personally don't care. That's a different argument for a different day. But
Hunted them both.
Yeah, there's a point where you have to actually lace your boots up, and you have to go find where the animal is, put the work in. It's hunting, not killing. I was taught this from a lot of good hunters that are out there, that there's a difference. If you expect yourself to get out there and go kill something, you're in the wrong mindset, right? But you need to put your boots on the ground in order to make something happen. So this episode, we're going to discuss the transition from learning, studying, asking questions, to actually driving your vehicle to wherever it is you're going to hunt and putting the work in from everything that you learned. So, Mark, if you don't mind me asking, right, what does boots on ground mean to you?
Putting the work in right off the bat. You know, you get out there, do the scouting, do the work. Public, private, whatever. You know, I went out to Utah a couple years ago. We hunted hard. You know, it was a great time. Best hunt of my life. Didn't even see an elk. You know what I mean? We're out there elk hunting. Didn't even see an elk. Still had the best time of my life. Put the work in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Half the part of it is the struggle.
Right, because you learn through it, right?
You learn through it. That's right. The struggle, man.
Being told what to find a deer path or an elk path and seeing one is a total different concept, right?
So I'm not trying to discourage anybody from guides. Guides, they're great, whatever you want to do. But there's a difference when somebody else puts the work in. And then you go harvest the animal. So to me, if I don't harvest and I put the work in, I feel like I won more than if I just pay somebody to put me on an animal. And that's my personal preference.
Right. I mean,
and I'm not knocking anybody for any of it.
No.
Because it is what it is.
I've actually been on both sides of that, right?
Yeah, I have too.
So I've been on both sides. When my first couple hunts, right, I was blessed and I was gifted these hunts. It wasn't that I didn't put some work in, but a lot of the work was done for me because a lot of people wanted me to get that experience, right? Jimmy Tillman would be one of them, a good friend of mine from Michigan, become one of my best friends. You know, he helped me get myself into a very reasonable, very realistic opportunity that what was going to happen was going to happen.
Yeah,
right?
that's great.
So, but
There's
nonetheless,
wrong with that.
I still had to know when to make the shot. I still had to get myself
in
a stand,
finish.
set my stand up. You know, there was parts of it that was like, you know what, you're not on your own, but
you got to finish.
You're going to do this.
Yeah, you got to finish.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's almost sometimes more pressure. Trust me, I've looked at it both ways.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, then they do all the work and you blow the shot. It's a lot of pressure on that one shot.
There is.
You know, when you do all the work and you blow the shot, you're like, okay, I'm out myself, whatever.
But then there's the flip side of the coin is when you are a new hunter and you decide to go out to your first piece of public or your first piece of private land by yourself and you're all jacked up. You bought your camo, you got your boot, you got your broadheads, you picked everything out, right? You know what you're doing. You studied, you read your E-maps, you did everything like that. And then you open up your door, you walk the trail, it's 5:30, it's dark out, and you're like, shit, what do I do now? How far do I go? That tree's a little bit further than I thought it was online. Like
oh, yeah. When you're looking at the maps especially, you get out there and you're like, dude, you get turned around.
Yeah, and reality kicks in, right? So, like, that's what we're talking about in this episode, guy. We're talking about, like,
getting the work in.
Boots on the ground, right? It's a progression. It does not just happen to you. You do not just one day buy all your equipment, study a couple maps, ask a few questions, and walk in there, and you are the hunter, right? Like, it doesn't work that way. So I would say from the way it worked for me, right, I would say it's more beneficial to have somebody, quote unquote, guide you, mentor you, set you up in a situation so that you can see what the proper way of doing it is, instead of just thinking you understand it.
No,
and
it
going out
definitely
there.
guidance is key. I mean, knowledge is king. You know what I mean? You can't learn enough.
No,
You know, we never stop learning.
correct.
You know what I mean?
And that's why a lot of people, you know, it's you get taught when you get taught, right? But this hunting world, this hunting atmosphere, it seems to be a lot of people get taught at a younger age, and they progressively become better as they get older.
Yeah.
It's the ones that are older who get taught, who get that whole mindset.
We got something for y'all coming up on that. We get there's apprentice programs out there we're working with.
Yeah,
on,
we are. Well, we
touch
are
in
gonna
on that.
we're gonna get you guys to an apprentice program, but
For people that are, you know, they missed it at a young, you know, I didn't kill my first deer till I was in my 20s. So
I mean, I was,
you know,
40,
I mean,
you know,
you're 30. I mean, you know, it
But
is what it is.
Some people, when you start older, you have the mentality, well, I've researched it, and you think that you know, right? Like, you have to humble yourself to be able to be a proper hunter, right? So, and humbling yourself is asking for guidance, whether it's someone
That's
taking
the first step.
I agree.
Yeah, is humbling yourself and saying, okay,
I
don't
agree
know.
with that. Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
You have to know that you need help,
Yeah.
right? So, but you also, as much as you need help, is as much as at some point you have to take that guidance and you have to put it into practicality. You have to do it for yourself.
You got to put it in
right?
motion.
So going to a piece of, you know, let's start with the public land, right? Because a lot of times,
It's the toughest. I mean,
even if it takes you a little bit of a ride, and trust me, guys, I do a lot of driving. I go public and I go private, but there's a point where you have to go do it for yourself, right? So even if you go to that piece of public land and you walk in there and you take everything that you learned and it just doesn't go the way you expected it to, and you don't see any animals, you might not have had something happen, you know, that the way you wanted it to. That's still your learning lesson. That's still your boots on the ground. That's still the way that you're going to develop into becoming the original hunter that you want to be. This is a progression. This isn't, you don't just buy the equipment and become a hunter, right? So, you know, guidance is key, but then there's a point where it's like anything in life, right? You can only have your hand held for so long before you have to step up and take it on yourself.
You know,
right?
I preach that aspect to driving towboats a lot. You know, guys, it just comes to a time where you just got to get behind the sticks and you got to drive that boat through the bridge.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it comes to a certain point, you just got to shoot that bow. You got to get out there. You just got to do it. I mean, it is what it is. You just got to do it.
You got to think on your own.
You got to think on your own. And that's that's the greatest thing about it. Is, you know, the freedom of the nature. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it's the freest thing that you will get left in this world is a hunt. I don't care what anybody says, hands down.
If you slow down and you
Enjoy the
understand,
hunt.
if you understand the situation, you are absolutely correct. You are in a free
The
atmosphere.
freest thing you ever feel in your life.
It absolutely is, and it's the most rewarding, one way or the other, because you know that you're one with nature for one, right? But you're trying to better yourself, right?
You're trying to better yourself. You're harvesting an animal. You're hunting. You're outwitting an animal, a wild animal. It ain't like factory farming. People can, you know, that's a whole nother topic.
No,
But you get out there on factory farming, you know, and I'm not knocking farming for the people out there farming. I'm talking about factory farming where you're pushing cattle through a conveyor belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're out there in the wild, hunting a wild animal, feeling natural. I mean, it's
true organic at that point.
organic, man. I mean, that's as organic as we're going to get. You know what I mean? Even though the chemicals are sprayed on the cornfield because the GMOs, but that's a whole different thing, too.
Right. But I mean, there's a point, too, where, like, you know, there's a lot of people, and I didn't know if I was going to go down this road, but we're going to go down this road a little bit, right? This is what the podcast is for, right?
It's the reality of everything.
There's a lot of people who spend a lot of time or too much time talking about what they want to be as a hunter, right? There's a point where, again, and this is what the episode is. This is the boots on the ground episode.
You're going to fail.
Yeah,
you're not gonna harvest. Nothing's roses.
You can't just continuously talk. There's a point where you have to go make something happen, and making something happen doesn't mean that you harvested an animal. It means that you went to where you wanted to go, and you visually saw it. You physically touched it. You smelt the atmosphere. You saw the deer trail. You did what you were taught, quote unquote, to do, right? Because there's a lot of people that are out there now who spend a lot of time asking questions, putting memes up, talking the talk. It's like, you know what? Go find yourself a piece of public land, no matter where it is, and if it takes you a little bit of gas money, then that's what it requires to become the hunter you want to be. Go drive to that piece of public land and understand it.
Put the work in.
Exactly. Now,
put the work in.
Getting access to private land is a different story. It takes a little bit more effort. You got to talk to landowners. That you got to grow a little bit more. You have to have a certain assertiveness to you and confidence to be able to find that. But public land is public land for a reason, right? It's public land. Yeah. You can go
Hats
have
off
access
to y'all
to
hunting public land. Yeah. I hunt a lot of private. I hunt very little public. I ain't gonna lie, but hats off to y'all hunting public and y'all getting it done.
A lot of people do both. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
a lot of people do both. I do both, but
what you know is what you know, though. So it doesn't. Yeah. See, I'm one of those ones where this is a big, and we can do an episode on this at some point. But to me, hunting is hunting because and this is the conversation piece that I like to have with people when they go about the public and private. Right? Does the animal know where the public and private land?
They don't know fence lines. Animals don't know fence lines.
That's
they don't
my
understand.
Point. So you might be able to balance a herd, keep a herd on your private land, and you know how you're working your herd and your animals at what point. But that animal still doesn't know whether it went.
They don't know,
private,
yeah.
right?
They don't know where.
You still just need to
but
put.
But they
yourself...
do understand pressure. Animals understand pressure, 100%. Everybody that knows that pressure is the key to hunting. There is no doubt. I will bet. There's people that's hunted a lot longer than I have, and I'll argue with them to the death. Pressure is 100% the number one
factor,
and
it is.
Yeah, it's 100%.
That's
number one
hunting,
factor in hunting. Any animal you're hunting. They feel the pressure,
hunting, bird hunting, doesn't matter,
and they're gone. It don't matter, So
yeah. You said it though. There's
I don't know
not
where
much
to go with that. Yeah,
well,
pressure is everything.
There's not much more to go, right? At that particular point, because there's a certain point where it doesn't matter what land you're on. If the pressure's been had, the pressure's been had.
I've seen on private land. I've seen on private land.
Well, so pressure happens how, right? Because pressure is one of those things where you have a lot of people, say like private, like public land, right? So, for example, I have a piece of public land that I go and hunt, right? It's a 300-acre, it looks like a football stadium, more or less. There's high embankments, there's ridges, and it goes down to this little open valley area where there's a spring that goes through and what have you. But only 10 to 12 people, 12 people are allowed in there at any given point. And the deer season starts in Illinois, for me, it starts on October 1st, right? So when you get to that place on October 1st, or even the first week of deer season and bow season, that sign-in list is chock full. The parking lot is jam full. So say like now you want to become the new hunter, right? And you get in there and they've been called at, they've been rattled in. Maybe not in the early October, not rattled.
Well, some people will do that in early October, not knowing better.
They
think they get out there and that puts pressure on them deer. They're already educated to when it gets hot.
And so
which the rut,
that's a little. We'll get there, but when you're trying to learn how to become it, you have to learn the boots. You won't understand pressure until you've been physically in an area where you've seen the beat-down path, where you've crossed paths with another hunter and you've had that conversation with them, or you've gone to where you thought you had a stand set up, or you were going to go do a setup, and you realize that there's other people there. Now you're realizing that, man, there's pressure in here. There's more people than I thought that were in there. What I thought was going to be my hunt is not your hunt.
So I took my boy. I got a lease in Kentucky, right? So I took my boy last weekend, and we got out there, and I had my cousin, his boy. We was all hunting in a blind. We was hoping to get a double on some birds. We had birds gobbling everywhere. We had 3 of them. Well, 2 of them, I'm not sure if the third one wasn't the people that shot the bird, but and that's hunting like. So I got a lease in Kentucky. It's a small lease. Now I got some property that joins it. So we're out there calling, getting the birds going, you know. Then I hear a hen call. It's too perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, dude, that's a hen. And I was like, dude, that's too perfect.
There's somebody else out there.
Yeah. Boom.
Yep.
Yeah. I heard that gobble. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pressure happened.
That Tom's dead. When
Even
I
though
was
you
going
had-
out to load the 4-wheeler in the truck on the lease, dude stopped by because it was a new lease. He didn't even see me, so he wanted to introduce himself. He's a neighbor. And that's fine. You know, I'm not mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hunting. I
Yeah,
ain't
right.
mad. That's the way it goes.
Right.
And he was showing me the time. He's a nice bird, too, man. And I was like, damn,
But-
that's that boy. That's that bird, man.
But see,
Like,
if you didn't actually put your boots on the ground,
Right.
get out to
We
the
was out there.
get out
We're
to the
out
piece
there.
of new property, you wouldn't
That's it.
understand that even though you have a lease, which is quote unquote private at that particular point, you still wouldn't have realized that there was pressure from other angles.
Exactly.
Right? So pressure dictates how the hunt goes, whether or not you realize it or not sometimes either, right? So just because you are public or private, pressure happens. And you have to acclimate yourself to becoming the best hunter you can be in understanding the hunt through the pressure, right?
Yeah.
And you only do that by what? Boots on the freaking ground.
On the
You know what I
ground.
mean?
You know,
That's the way
putting
it
the
goes.
work in,
Boots
getting
on
your
the
ass
ground.
out there,
So,
doing
so
your thing.
this episode, guys, we wanted to just get into a little bit of what boots on the ground is from our standpoint. We hope you guys understand where we're coming from with this. The whole goal is to get up, get out, and go get you some, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the only way you're going
Get
to
it.
figure it out, right? So, just like me at some point, I had asked a million freaking questions, and at some point, somebody was
Let's
just
get
like,
it.
you know what? Get your ass out there and go freaking hunt. So, guys, we're going to end it this way, right? Get your ass up, go hunt, go put the boots on the ground, put the work in, and enjoy yourself because you're going to grow to be the hunter that you want to be, but you won't do it by not putting boots on the ground.
Get them on the ground.
Yes, sir. Thanks for
Yeah,
guys.
put the work in.
There we go, guys.